haunted house is one in which unexplained phenomena are commonplace. The Association for the Scientific Study of Anomalous Phenomena, ASSAP, states that if you think your home may be haunted, there are a few things to be aware of. In what the organization refers to as a typical haunting, people describe experiencing cold spots in a room, seeing shadowy figures or apparitions, hearing strange noises, smelling strange aromas, finding objects that have moved, or witnessing your pet becoming disturbed. Number 7. The Mystery House of Winchester. One of the spookiest houses in the country is the Winchester Mystery House in San Jose, California. Owner Sarah Winchester gave building workers instructions to work on the strange house, which you may still see, for 36 years. You see, according to folklore, Sarah believed that the spirits of people who had died as a result of the Winchester rifle would torment her forever. Her late husband had invented the weapon. The mansion has 160 rooms, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, some that open to solid walls, some that open to nothing at all, 17 chimneys, and stairways that lead nowhere in an attempt to disorient the spirits and divert them from her. Number 6. The Lizzie Borden Residence. Lizzie Borden is now ingrained in the annals of popular culture. Someone used a hatchet inside the house to kill her parents, Andrew and Abby Borden, in August 1892. Lizzie was put on trial for killing her parents, but in the end, she was found not guilty. More than a century after it first made headlines nationwide, the narrative still holds audiences' interest. The house is now a popular tourist destination. Visitors can reserve a room at the bed and breakfast or go on ghost excursions. Number 5. The Whaley House. The Whaley House is a real-life haunted house that was originally constructed on the site where James Robinson, often known as Yankee Jim, was put to death. Yankee Jim was found guilty of grand larceny in 1852 and given a hanging death sentence. Jim's feet scraped the ground because the hangman had not tightened the noose correctly, which made the hanging take longer. Thomas Whaley purchased the property where Yankee Jim died in 1856 and constructed a home for his own family. Lillian, the youngest Whaley daughter, claimed to have heard the sound of boots stomping through the home and thought it might be Yankee Jim's ghost. The Whaley House is a museum and officially recognized historic monument today. Both staff members and guests have claimed to have seen or heard the ghosts of former proprietors Thomas and Anna Whaley. Staff and visitors alike report that Anna's ghost normally stays downstairs or in the garden, and Thomas's usually hangs out near the landing at the top of the staircase. Regis Philbin, a television host, is one of the people who reported seeing Mrs. Whaley's ghost. Sometimes smells of perfume and cigar smoke have also appeared out of nowhere. The Whaley House is among the most haunted houses in the country because of the regularity of these ghost sightings. Number 4. The Belmas Faces. This little cottage in the town of Belmas, in the southern Spanish province of Jaén, isn't exactly haunted by spirits, but the home is located on 1830s burial grounds. There's a riddle on the floor of the kitchen that has baffled experts and laypeople alike for decades. In 1971, Maria Gomes Pereira, the house's resident, noticed a face staring up at her from her kitchen floor. The face was not a two-dimensional apparition. Rather, it seemed more like a plaster casting that protruded from under the house, as if a buried head was directly beneath it. Gomes Pereira and her neighbors were horrified by the unusual facade and tried to remove it by using an axe to chip away at the cement. However, as they did so, they exposed further face casts, this time of elderly men and young people. Once word got out about the so-called faces of Belmas, scientists were called in to confirm the validity of the paintings and determine whether or not Gomes Pereira and her neighbors had staged phony castings. They disregarded the painting explanation, but there's no hard proof to determine how the faces got there in the first place. However, a great deal of suspicion has been generated by the faces. Number 3. Viewpoint Hall. Blickling Hall was voted the nation's most haunted house by the National Trust of England in October 2007. The magnificent home, which is in Norfolk, England, is set to host a special guest each spring. One of Anne Boleyn's early residences was Blickling Hall. The second of King Henry VIII's 6 wives was Boleyn. Henry's obsession with having a male heir to the kingdom led to the divorce of his first wife, Catherine of Aragon. as none of the male children she gave birth to survived. He tried again with Anne Boleyn, who gave birth to the future Queen Elizabeth I, but did not succeed in bearing a son either. The king falsely accused Boleyn of adultery, which proved to be successful, in order to set up his second divorce. She was sentenced to death for supposedly cheating on one of the most powerful men in the world at the time. Anne Boleyn was beheaded May 19, 1536. It is said that Boleyn's headless ghost travels to Blickling Hall annually on the anniversary of her execution in a carriage driven by a headless horseman. She still keeps her head with her during her hauntings, so it's not like she lost it entirely in the hereafter. Number 2. The Rose Hall. Jamaican children are still scared of the stories about Annie Palmer of Rose Hall, the homicidal woman. Palmer and her husband lived in Rose Hall, a former plantation that was constructed in 1770. Palmer acquired voodoo knowledge while growing up in Haiti, which she would later use in her evil plots. Palmer started having sexual relations with African slaves on the property after she grew dissatisfied with her husband. She either killed these individuals or gave orders to others to kill them so they would not speak about the affairs. She poisoned her first spouse in an attempt to inherit all of her husband's money. She then married and murdered 2 more men. Her adventures in sex also persisted. Palmer had a pit excavated 16 feet, 4.8 meters, underneath the home where she would exile any male who refused to please her or any slave who attempted to escape. Her evil reputation grew throughout the island, earning her the moniker White Witch. Palmer is said to have placed a lethal voodoo curse on a housekeeper who attracted the attention of one of her suitors. Palmer was allegedly thereafter fatally killed by the housekeeper's grandfather. Her remains were interred in an above-ground casket in Rose Hall's eastern wing. The legend was that the White Witch's soul haunted the house even after she had killed them. New occupants were ejected from Rose Hall's eerie grounds as soon as they tried to move in. The house was eventually purchased by a couple in 1965, who turned it into a museum. Still, both guests and staff have reported hearing men scream, doors slamming, and other unexplained noises. Number 1. The White House. Former presidential couples must find it difficult to acclimate to life beyond the White House. After 4 or more years, they likely grow accustomed to the facilities provided to arguably the most powerful people in the West, such not having to wash dishes, change light bulbs, or take out the trash. Maybe for that reason, some people have remained after their terms and lives have ended. Yes, it's true that 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is among the most haunted addresses in the country, in addition to being the most well-known. Abigail, the wife of President John Adams, moved into the White House in 1800, becoming the first presidential pair to dwell there. She has remained there ever since. There are rumors that her ghost occasionally hangs laundry in the East Room. Dolly Madison, another First Lady, has allegedly been quite protective of the White House's restorations. Presidents frequently meet with the media at the Rose Garden, which Dolly oversaw landscaping during her husband's administration. According to legend, Dolly's ghost appeared to President Woodrow Wilson's wife when she sought to have the garden dug up, telling the workers not to destroy her cherished garden. In keeping with the Rose motive, the White House's Queen's bedroom, formerly known as the Rose Room, is a paranormal hotspot. President Andrew Jackson's bed is kept there, but there's more. Rumor has it that Jackson's ghost wanders the room. Abraham Lincoln's spirit has also been reported to be seen peering out of windows and wandering the corridors. There are occasions when he visits the bedroom of Lincoln as well. Not convinced by us? Once upon a time, the White House website under George W. Bush had a page dedicated to ghost sightings reported by prominent occupants such as Jimmy Carter's daughter and Eleanor Roosevelt. Did you like it? Tell us what you think of the video in the comments section below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting videos.